It's a dangerous love affair. Victories within the mile. Almost there, don't give up.
So, you know what we're going to do? See you in Fayetteville. See you in Fayetteville. Hawk by night.
No goodbye! Natty! Get the buzzer!
It goes in! It's over!
Entering Natty State Studio, the sports media palace of Mid-America, the Wolf of Center Street. Here's your host, John Nabors.
And welcome into the John Nabors Show here live from the Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I am your host, John Nabors, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Hog fans came to talk with you again. Certainly is not the way that we wanted to start off a show here on this Friday, but it certainly has been something of note to where you have quite a few things that seem to be pretty problematic for the Razorbacks right now. And the basketball coaching search continues on, and they're trying to do whatever it is that they're trying to do. And we had some big news coming out, which we'll get to here in just a second. But want to remind everybody that if you want in on the conversation, you could do so by calling in, or actually, calling in would be the best way because we want to hear your voice. 936-246-2889 is the number to call. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show. You can get into the chat here on the stream, and we're going to try to do our best to make this all work. But a lot of things to dive into, a lot of things to try to make sense out of, but you know, we got to have a special guest in here too, because we got Curtis Wilkerson, who has just decided to make his presence here. I don't know why. To me, it would be better served for Curtis to just do something better than to be here on this show, but he's been nice enough to join us because it's been pretty nasty here. So Curtis, how we feeling? How's everything going?
Oh, it's going, brother. I mean, I feel like it's only fair that I joined the show today after yesterday. You know, we were going live, and I came back and I sat down and I was like, hey, it's beard, guys.
Yep.
But here we are, and you know, so here I am to wear it. But at the same time, you know, just sharing the info as it came in hot, and you know, I didn't fumble at the goal line, so here we are. But yeah, it's just a weird deal. The other thing that was said though yesterday was it's never as simple as the first guy, and it wasn't.
Not at all. Like, it's not at all. It has not been as simple. It continues to not be very simple. And for those of you who may not know, or just joining us, or maybe you've been living under a rock over the course of the past few hours, Chris Beard is not coming to Arkansas, at least not this year, as it was officially announced that he is remaining at Ole Miss. And not only is it a report, the man tweeted it himself that he's staying at Ole Miss. And I'll admit, there's times where you look at in coaching searches, you go for your top priority, you go for your number one guy, and you don't get him. It happens a lot of times, not just to Arkansas. But what really irks me, Curtis, about the thing with Chris Beard is everyone knows that was number one. That was their guy. That was their target. Everyone knows that. But he chose to stay at Ole Miss. Not Ole Miss football, not Ole Miss baseball, Ole Miss men's basketball. The Tad Pad is where he felt it was best served for him to remain. And that, to me, among a lot of stuff we're going to try to dive into, that to me was probably the most humbling experience if you're a Razorback fan, that a really good coach, and Chris Beard chose to stay at Ole Miss instead of come to Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean that's a gut punch, or maybe something that rhymes with gut. It's tough, man. And yeah, I mean there's no arguing that he was the top target, and it wasn't just local people around here saying it. A lot of, pretty much every national media outlet, went out and said that Chris Beard had emerged as Arkansas's top target. And boy, it sounded just like everything was heading in the direction of maybe getting an announcement as soon as today, or this weekend. And, like I said, kind of came down to the goal line and there was a fumble there. They didn't finish.
Nope.
And, if you want to blame Hunter Yurachek for that, I think that's probably fair because you got to be the deal closer there. And so be my guest if you want to do that. And then the other part of it too, and we knew this was going to happen, like Ole Miss ponied up to keep their man. And we don't know what the details are of that yet, but they didn't want to lose Chris Beard, and so they made sure they didn't, and now their athletic director is trolling all of us as a result.
It's also painful to know that Carter, the name for, of course, it's AD for Ole Miss. Keith Carter, thank you. I knew his last name, but yeah, Keith Carter. He's got to be feeling pretty good about himself. I mean, Arkansas thought they wanted Lane Kiffin, and that didn't happen. He hired Lane Kiffin instead. And then you have this situation now with Beard. Like you said, it's almost like he's trolling, and they're trolling, and they're all trolling. Everyone's trolling Arkansas right now, and Razorback fans are just beside themselves because they're like, wow, okay. And according to reports from John Rothstein, at least, I guess Jerome Tang has now become the top target for everybody. But I don't know how you feel about it, and this is nothing against Tang himself, but it just feels like it's going to be not as great of a reaction if it ends up being Tang compared to Chris Beard.
Yeah, sorry. The Broyles curse comment in the chat there got me. Those that was pretty good.
Yep, that's
I tried to hold it in, but I couldn't.
No, that's good.
Yeah, it's that was, when a search started, even before that, I mean, there were three names, right? I mean, it was Chris Beard, and then a gap, and then Jerome Tang and Will Wade.
Yep.
So far, I honestly, I really haven't heard much about Will Wade. Like I just haven't heard much with him being connected to the job. That doesn't mean he's not, but there hasn't been much there. And I know I was listening to everybody's favorite Arkansas fan, Jeff Goodman, yesterday, and he
Huge
said Wade.
fan.
Yeah, he said Wade wasn't even in the mix, and I don't have a reason to not believe that because I haven't heard anything to the contrary. Now maybe with Beard being out of the picture, that could change. But yeah, everything has kind of went towards Jerome Tang here. I've heard that Arkansas officials were scheduled to meet with him at down in Phoenix at the Final Four. Everybody's down there now, and we'll see what happens with that. If there's some negotiations, could he be just leveraging for a raise and more NIL at Kansas State? Maybe, or he could be their guy and they go get him. So. I know that's not the most exciting news for Arkansas fans, especially when you kind of had all the eggs in the Chris Beard basket there. Yep. What I will say about Tang, though, I get it in terms of some of the hesitation because he's only 2 years into a head coaching career. They had a disappointing season this year, but what I will say, at least in his defense, is he is unanimously respected in the coaching community as just as solid of a dude as there is out there. He's recruited exceptionally well for a guy this early into his coaching career, especially in the transfer portal. And he went to an Elite Eight in his first season as a head coach at Kansas freaking State. So, like all I'm saying is I've seen a lot of people say, give me, Hodgson at Arkansas State, give me Bucky McMillan. And I like all those guys, but I think some people are acting like Jerome Tang is Kim Anderson or something.
Yeah, which
He's
is
a
not
good
true.
coach. Like you could do a lot worse than that. Is that the home run or grand slam that you want after losing Muss? No. But if it's Jerome Tang, I think eventually people would get on board with that. I think he would do a good job here.
Yeah.
Will he elevate the program to the next level and get you to the Final Four? I don't know, but I think he would do a good job here.
Yeah, I was talking with some people in the national landscape, and also Bobby Regan from Barstool Sports, and he is a huge Jerome Tang fan. In fact, he said with the three names of what Arkansas is getting thrown around, and he's like, if you end up with Chris Beard, Jerome Tang, or Will Wade, you're going to be fine. Like Arkansas is going to be fine. Again, that's just an opinion, but still, there's no doubt that his ability to hit the portal, and he does have the acumen of being a part of a national championship winning program at Baylor. So, he has that landscape. He's an older coach. I think, was he 57 years old, something like that, in his mid-50s, I believe.
Yeah, he's a little older, yeah.
So he's an older coach, but, it's one of those things where it could end up being really good if it's Jerome Tang. It could end up being a great hire. But when it comes to the expectation that Razorback fans have right now, that's not going to move the needle right off the bat. People will warm up to him. That just, winning does that. But it's compiled with this whole thing about Hunter Yurachek. This is what's bad right now, folks. This is where it gets really bad for Razorback fans. Yurachek kind of made his bed, and he's got to sleep in it. With this whole thing about how he was going on social media and the thing with Muss about kind of like daring him to leave in a way, that the video, and it's coming back to really be a problem. Because if you're Yurachek, and if you don't nail this hire, you got fans already turning on you right now. I mean, if you don't believe us, look at Twitter. Look at the mentions. We're going to read Hunter Yurachek's mentions here in a second. But everyone is fed up and pissed off at Hunter Yurachek because they feel like if you're going to crow that, if you're going to be up on social media and, putting that video out and then talking the way you do, you better have something in the back pocket. You better have something ready to roll. And when it's public now, it's public that your number one target turns you down for a far, far, far lesser program to stay there at Ole Miss. This right now, it makes Arkansas and Yurachek and the basketball program in general pretty bad. It makes it all look really bad right now. And, again, we're going to wait until the hire happens. It's going to be somebody. They're going to hire somebody. So there could be a complete total turnaround. But right now, it is hard to be confident that this is going to be something that gets all the Razorback fans excited and pumped up and feeling good about themselves, because so far it's been pretty disastrous after just, a couple of days of the finality of Eric Musselman era. Yeah,
no doubt about it. That's, again, a lot of this could have been at least semi-avoided had, Yurachek just stayed off of Twitter and the podcast.
Yep.
I mean, it's at the surface level, when it all happened, it felt very weird and probably not a good look for an athletic director at an SEC university to be doing that. And then when Muss left and you start hearing all the beard stuff, it's like, oh, Yurachek's playing 4D chess. Oh, maybe he was, but
he got played if he did.
Yeah, you better be dang well sure that that plan A comes to fruition. And he didn't do that. And so, now the microscope is really on him here. And we'll see what they come up with. And it's like, I'm just reading the comments as I scroll through here. A lot of people are saying Tang's not a good coach. Is not a good coach. He's 12-0 in overtime games in 2 seasons. So
that's
as far as being
a
good coach, he is a good coach. Is he Bill Self? No. Is he Scott Drew? No. Kelvin Sampson? No. But he's a good coach. So let's not let our disappointment cloud reality here.
Yeah.
Is he as experienced as some of these other guys? No. But the dude can coach, okay?
Yeah. I think what it is, Curtis, is that it's like comparing it to Muss, because that's what you do. That's what we're going to do. Is he as good of a coach as Eric Musselman? Like right now. And I'd say no.
No.
And now, again, he's been 2 years, so maybe he could be into that point. But that's where everyone's mind's going to be. It's like, did we upgrade or did we downgrade?
Right.
And whether it's true or not, and I think it's not really a great body of evidence, everyone's going to say we downgraded if it ends up being Jerome Tang compared to Eric Musselman. And that's not the direction you want to go, and that's not what you want to have happen, especially on the same day that Eric Musselman's getting announced at USC on this press conference, which is still surreal and awkward.
Yeah, we were literally sitting down to watch the Must to USC presser and couldn't even pay attention to it because that's when the beard is staying stuff came out.
Yep.
But it was very awkward. Like, I know people were trying to move on from that, but I would actually recommend going back and watching the Must USC presser because it was just weird and cringy.
Yep.
But I get it. Like, I understand everybody's frustration. I'm frustrated by it too because I almost sold myself into believing that this was going to be easy and that we could kind of move on to having a coach and building the roster and whatever, but here we are. And then the question is, like, if you're not a Tang fan, well, who do you want?
Yeah. At this point, like, who's a realistic option?
And, you know, because a lot of the other names I've heard out there are not going to excite people. I mean, Buzz Williams, are y'all excited
No.
about that?
No.
Porter Moser, are you excited about that?
No.
Chris Jans?
I mean, I would be.
I actually
but
think he's pretty solid
I
coach,
wouldn't-
but
yeah.
from an excitement factor, you know,
he
maybe
doesn't
not.
move the needle. Yeah.
Right. And I've seen, you know, a lot of people in here talking about Kelvin Sampson.
Ain't happening.
It again, like, you better get your money up. But how many years does he have left?
Yeah.
And are you going to agree to make his son the coach in waiting? Like
That's what he
Houston
wants.
has, you know. People were talking about Brian Dutcher at San Diego State. He's 65 years old.
Yeah.
And he's a great coach, but this is a little bit different than, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this right now, where it stands. Realistic coaches, because you and Scotty have done a great job of putting together this coaches board with United States Sports and on the Palace and everything. But if you're to power rank realistic coaches of who would excite the fan base right now, Beard's out. Like, who's the number one thing that you think would be the most exciting realistic candidate?
I mean, I think if people get past the sleaziness of it, Will Wade.
Me too. I think.
I mean,
I agree.
He would be number one on my realistic list there. I'm not near as low on Jerome Tang as a lot of people are. He would probably be fairly up there on my list. I think of the names that we've talked about, like Jans, I think that would be a really good hire. You might be able to miss me with some of the other ones there. Trying to think of like other outside the box, you know, possibilities. I've heard a few people mention like Sean Miller at Xavier, the former Arizona coach. I think that would be awesome. I don't know how that would play in this region. I don't know how motivated he is to leave Xavier, a place where he had coached in the past. You know, Shaka Smart, we talked about him a little bit yesterday on the live. This would be maybe a better opportunity for him, but he's killing it at Marquette in a low pressure job. And the last time he was in a high pressure job was at Texas, and he wasn't good.
Didn't go
there,
well.
you know. And so it's tricky. And yeah, I'm sure that at this point, Hunter Yurachek is trying to shoot his shot at some very big fish while negotiating with Jerome Tang and everything else. But if you missed on Beard, then, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you're
how much
0 for
confidence
1.
do we have that something, you know, better than that is going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't either. And I'm going to tell you this because, you know, this is a Friday. We're going into the weekend, and, you know, obviously we won't be doing this show, but on Monday, come Monday, if they don't have a coach hired by Monday, by the time of this show starts at 4 p.m. on Monday, I'm going to start really being concerned, because this isn't like, oh, well, we got to wait until, you know, certain coaches go through their games. No, the season's over for every team but 4. And those games are going to be over with, or 2 of those teams are going to be eliminated. So there's zero excuse to not have people in place and a coach at least hired or movement on it not by Monday at 4 p.m. Like, that to me will be a doomsday worst case scenario, and I'd be freaking out if they go that long without having a head coach named. So
yeah, I mean, I really don't think it's going to make it that far, but to be fair, I just don't feel like I can be surprised by anything at this point.
I've hoped for a lot of things in these coaching searches, but we should have known. Like we talked about yesterday, and everything's like, it's never going to be just that easy for Arkansas coaching searches. It can't be. It can't be just, oh, your guy, here's your number one. Okay, you got him. It can't even be. The fact that, honestly, at least the coaching searches I've been through of the major sports, the Eric Musselman one might have been the cleanest, less dramatic coaching search of all time. Like, that one was an easy, I know the Kelvin Sampson angle and then the Chris Beard angle, but Muss was there and wanting it and everything, and then they moved on and they got him. So this is just where it's currently at. And again, I'm with Hog fans. I know you are stressing, and I know you're upset right now, and you have a right to be, because again, if Yurachek blows this, I don't think there's recovering it from this for him. I think he's lost the entire fan base.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that 100%, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this is a tricky situation. I'm not trying to rain on everybody's parade, but I'm just going through the comments, and McDermott at Creighton, like he's got a big buyout. He's been there forever. Like, how motivated is he going to be to leave? The Iowa State coach, TJ Altenberger, love him. I think he'd be great here. He has a $17 million buyout.
That's nothing
Over there, It's tricky, man.
That's the best way to put it. That's the best way to put it. It's tricky, but folks, we
Kevin Keats at NC State. He was on the hot seat.
Yeah, you want that
at the end of the season, and they just got red hot and made it to the Final Four. I mean, if you could probably get him, sure, but why?
And somebody that brought that up to me too. Here's my example of my counter to that: Frank Martin. Frank Martin went to a Final Four at South Carolina, had a run of a year. But, like, would you have wanted him? And again, a Final Four is incredible. Don't get me wrong. But if you're going to hire somebody that's, been a head coach, have at least something to point to of constant success instead of just a 1 year, one-off, everything got going. I mean, Kevin Ollie won a national championship. And, 2 years later, he's fired from UConn. And now look at him. So, man, we got a lot of people getting in on the chat and also on the phone line. So let's try to work through some of these phone calls. I don't want to keep people holding on too long. We'll start with Jackson, who's coming in from Springdale, looks like. What's up, Jackson?
What's up, John? This is Jackson Browswatch. Just wanted to call in and talk about the coaching search and throw a couple points. My thing with Jerome Tang, I'm kind of like Curtis. I'm not as low on him as some of the fans, but the thing that does concern me about him is that Kansas State team this year won 2 true road games the entire season. They beat a lot of good teams at home, and then they completely folded up shop in February and March, which gives me shades of Mike Anderson. And I just don't know if we're in a position as a program to go through that again. That seemed like that was the MA of, the way of Mike Anderson is you beat a lot of good teams at home. There was a lot of times where it felt like we could have beat the Lakers at home at Bud Walton under Mike Anderson, but then you'd go on the road and lose to a bottom dweller in the conference. And that's exactly what Jerome Tang's team did this year at Kansas State. The other thing I want to bring up on the Beard angle is when Rothstein and Goodman are out tweeting that they feel good about a coach coming to the University of Arkansas or that he's leading, that's almost like a Woj bomb in the NBA. It seems like it's 100% the deal, and then it fell through. I just want to know, how do you get that close to the finish line and then bagel it?
I mean, that is the ultimate question, isn't it? That's what it makes me wonder. First off, with the new contract revisions that Chris Beard's going to have, I guess we won't ever know it. The state of Mississippi and the contract details that they are not having to give out always seems a little bit interesting in how different it is. But the only thing that could make sense is that if Ole Miss just offered him a massive, crazy, great contract, because people bring up NIL. I don't think that there's any way that NIL is better at Ole Miss, for Ole Miss basketball at least, than what it would be at Arkansas. There's no question about the program. Everyone knows the program's better at Arkansas than it is at Ole Miss. So putting it all together, I don't know. But that's kind of what the scary thing about it is, and that's what makes fans feel so uneasy. Is it seemed like home run, hire, easy, just make it happen, do whatever it takes to make it happen, and instead, Chris Beard staying in Oxford. That's just a hard pill to swallow. So I wish I knew, Jackson. I wish I knew how you get to the goal line and fumble it, but I feel like that happens way too often in Arkansas, where they are the kings of getting other coaches paid more with new contracts.
And John, it would be worth doing the research. How many times do you think Rothstein and Goodman have tweeted something like that somebody like, Eric Musselman is the leading candidate at USC, and then that person doesn't get hired by that university? I would wager to say it's less than 5% of the time.
Agreed.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's
making me feel better about missing on it.
Yeah, I know, because we all felt that it was Beard. I mean, just from everybody involved, it was Beard. But I don't know, again, if it's something that scared Beard off, or is it something that, was Yurachek somebody who just said, we're not paying that, sorry, we're going to move on? Because that feels like that sometimes has happened with Yurachek, where he's been very stubborn and sticking to his guns, which can be a good thing, but in some cases, at least with coaching searches, could end up being bad things too. Appreciate the phone call, Jackson. And
the only thing I'll say, just going back to the Jerome Tang stuff, just pulled up the schedule to look, and yeah, he's 100% right. They only won 2 true road games. One of them was at LSU. The other one was at West Virginia, and both of those were bad teams. Mm-hmm. So that's fair. That's very fair to look at. But I will also say, like, the Big 12 is a beast, you know, and if you go and look at some of those true road games that they lost, Texas Tech, NCAA tournament team, Iowa State, NCAA tournament team, Houston, NCAA tournament team, Oklahoma State, not a good team. Maybe that's one you could get. BYU, NCAA tournament team. Texas was in the tournament. Cincinnati was not. Kansas was. So, like, those are tough, some tough road games and environments to go win in. But yeah, I mean, they underachieved relative to expectations. 19-15 on the year. They did lose their starting center, who was dismissed from the team for a bar fight, whatever Manhattan's version of Dixon Street got him, I guess. And their 6-man Case Glover was injured and missed the season. They were down 2 bodies. I'm not trying to make too many excuses, just in context.
Yeah, and I think that's where I feel like with Tang, I felt like from the get-go that was the floor. You know, like that's the worst you could do. And that's not an insult. Again, it's not an insult towards him. It's just that was the lowest hanging fruit you could get when it came to a coach, where I think he'd be 100%. All you got to do is offer him the job, and he's here. I think it's that element. And I also think that the potential is there. But, again, it's not just going to put everybody in, oh, man, can't wait to see Jerome Tang, because, to be honest, there's probably a lot of people that didn't even know what the Kansas State coach's name was until they heard you guys talking at it probably on Pod at the Palace and bringing him up as a name. So
feels like a safe hire.
Yeah, safe hire. That's the best way to put it. Let's see. You got some more phone calls coming in. Hey, this is actually Spencer from Mississippi. I'm sure that this is hopefully a Razorback fan, but we'll find out. What's up, Spencer?
No, the area code is Vicksburg, but I grew up in Conway and I'm in Little Rock now, so I'm on the good side of things.
Okay. Yeah, you never know on these call-in shows, man. You never know.
Yeah, no. My mind's kind of just been all over the place today. I think I'm 24 years old, about to be 25 here soon. So basically until Musselman really got there, I missed all the Nolan years. And once Musselman arrived, before that, it was, you had football season, and then basketball just kind of held you over until you got to baseball. It wasn't really like something that I grew up really caring about, just because you had the Stan Heath, the John Pelfreys, and then Mike Anderson gave you your moments, but it wasn't anything incredible. But, for Musselman, I'm thankful for everything that he did for the university, and I'm glad that I could be a part of that experience, But I think with Yurachek, what it all comes down to was the tweet that he had before Muss announced that he was officially signed. You put that out, and you think that the AD has the ace up his sleeve in what we all thought would be Chris Beard. But it's not really the swing and miss that gets me. Is you're standing on business in a sense with that tweet. And we're just going to assume we're going to settle for Jerome Tang. So like what you just said, John, who would probably leave anyway, even without that. I mean, like Muss said today, Arkansas is one of the best basketball jobs in the country. You would think that with Yurachek going out of his way to kind of talk his crap a little bit, that it would be a lot more dynamic and move the needle a little bit more than a Jerome Tang hire. So that's just the disappointing thing to me. Not really missing out on Chris Beard. I think it would have been a great hire. It would have been involving the Little Rock people, the Stevens, the Colliers. I've heard Frank Fletcher's name get thrown around, but, just for that big swing and miss, and then everybody kind of turned into Jerome Tang is not really what I had in mind anyway.
Well, I think a coaching searches also need to be almost like dating a perfect 10. You should be able to fight over it. Like, it shouldn't be so easy where that coach just drops everything and comes to you. Like, sometimes that can work. But I also feel like the coaches that you're willing to fight over and win that competition, those are the ones that are going to be the ones that are most worthwhile. And, that's also an element, too, where, like you said, he could come here. I don't know what he's making at Kansas State. Do you happen to know, Curtis, like what his salary is at Kansas State, Jerome Tang's? I mean, I don't know if it's comparable or if it's a lot or even what the buyout would be. I don't mean put it on the spot. But
I'm not entirely sure about the buyout, but we've got his salary on the hot board. It is $3.6 million.
So that was
with $100,000 $100,000 annual increase over 7 years.
Okay, so you'd have to pay more than that, and I think that was close to what Muss was making here at Arkansas too. So
Buyout $6 million. For,
oh gosh. Oh
Tang.
gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so man, that's a whole nother element to where you're talking about, for Beard, I think it was only 3.5 is what people were saying, but $6
you know
million.
what Will Wade's is?
What's Will Wade's? Like a crunch bar?
1.25.
1.25.
You know how much money he's making right now?
How much?
$700K over 5 years, or maybe he actually just got
an extension or a
a
raise,
small raise, but
but still,
I mean,
nothing.
come on.
So yeah, if it's going to be that, might as well save you some money and go with Will Wade. But your point stands though, Spencer. The point is like, you're just not having it to where you're going to get a guy that is someone who's you had to fight for. It's more of just like, oh yeah, I'll do that, no problem.
No, 100%, and I think that we can kind of relate back to the football coaching search a few years ago, where you had your war in the trenches with Jimmy Sexton, and you're swinging and missing on Lane Kiffin. A lot of people in Arkansas, whenever these coaching searches do come back around and they rear their head, they kind of tend to want to lean a little bit more towards connections, when in all reality, a lot of people that would crawl back, in terms of Eddie Sutton's words, they're not necessarily the guys that you want to fight another athletic director over. And so, I mean, to kind of skip ahead to that, I mean, the more that I've heard Will Wade's name get thrown around, I've never really had a bad disdain for Will Wade. I grew up in Louisiana. I think a lot of Arkansas fans don't really like him. They make fun of his figure, but it's because he constantly beat Arkansas, it seems like. Even when Arkansas had the more superior team, he always had the upper hand. And if we're talking about in terms of just a longer tenure and somebody who I think would actually stay a while, it would be Will Wade and not a Chris Beard. Not talking about Chris Beard leaving for another job,
right?
But in terms of longevity and coaching, I think Will Wade would be a knockout hire. But it's just, after everything that happened today, I have no idea.
We'll appreciate the phone call, Spencer. Thanks for calling in, man. Call back anytime.
Wade is only 41 years old. That's crazy considering he's made, a half dozen NCAA tournaments. And, I mean, he was at Chattanooga and then VCU and then LSU, and then he sat a year because he was in trouble. Now he's at McNeese. Like, it's crazy that he's only 41 years old. And he's I think he's underrated from like an X's and O's standpoint, especially defensively. Like, I remember him scheming up some crazy stuff against Arkansas. And it's legal to go get dudes the way he does now.
And that's the only slight against him, is that he was doing something illegal that's now legal at this point in time.
Right.
I mean, take that away. He's a coach that got a lot of talent there at LSU.
Yeah, and some would argue that he might have underachieved based on the talent that he had at LSU, and I could hear that argument. But he's also still a young coach, and if you look at his McNeese team, like, they had some dogs on that team. I know they got smoked by Gonzaga in the tournament, whatever. Like, they were tough, man.
Yeah.
You give them some NIL to work with at a place like Arkansas, and buddy.
Yeah,
that would
changes everything.
That would scare the crap out of everyone in the SEC for sure.
Yeah, it would scare me, at least, just in excitement. But still, well, Curtis, we appreciate you hanging out and giving the updates. And
thanks,
folks,
everybody.
Be sure to follow Pod at the Palace, as Curtis and Scotty have been doing a great job with that, and they'll keep you up to date on all things for the coaching search. And I'm sure they'll try to be therapeutic for you as well and try to make sense out of it all. But either way, good luck, Curtis.
Thank you.
And hopefully, I'm sure it'll go really well for you and Scotty. But we're going to get to more of your phone calls, folks, because I know we got Travis and Chris and Katie and a lot of people calling in. So keep those phone calls coming in as we're going to continue on here on the John Nabors Show. But before we do that, I got to tell you about Autograph, the app that you can go and download on your iPhone or on your Android. It's one that Tom Brady co-founded and has one mission in mind: to change the fan experience for the better. And it's a fandom rewarded app that allows devoted fans to unlock the most memorable experiences as well as all the rewards. There's a great deal going on right now, too, with the Autograph app, to where you, as a Razorback fan, you have a chance to win some Arkansas and Florida baseball tickets. All you got to do is download the app, use the code Natty, N-A-T-T-Y for the promo code, and continue to consume that media that you've been consuming the entire time as a Razorback fan. And I'm sure maybe it's the only thing that can be therapeutic to you, But it's a great app that combines all the great content into one, and it's the Autograph app. And by using it and by putting in that code Natty, N-A-T-T-Y, have a chance to win you a really great pair of seats for Arkansas and Florida baseball coming up here in just a few weeks. So download the app today. Again, the Autograph app using promo code Natty, N-A-T-T-Y. We're not even going to take a break. Let's just keep the phone calls moving. Travis is here on the line. Let's go to Travis. What's up, Travis?
Yeah, John, how's it going, man? Obviously, like the majority of our fan base, super disappointed today. I kind of feel like Gus Malzahn held a convention somewhere and said, hey, guys, if you want a raise or an extension, just go for it with Arkansas. The Jerome Tang thing, I'm with everyone. The guy, you don't know. Maybe the guy might be John Wood in the making. I don't know. He's been a head coach for 2 years, Elite Eight the first year with someone else's players. Had some unfortunate hands dealt to him this year. So, like kind of what Curtis is getting to, not making excuses, but, that's reality. That probably played a hand in struggling a little bit. But to me, right now, Jerome Tang over Will Wade kind of gives me Stan Heath over Bill Self vibes. We should learn from our history here. I get the anxiety with Will Wade and not, his path at LSU with the recruiting stuff. To me, he was just illegally ahead of his time. I think the guy's innovative. I think the guy's got that kind of fire similar to Musselman. And like you're alluding to, I think he's underrated in the X's and O's, and he's had success. And he's young. I mean, there's a lot to like about Will Wade. And, if Yurachek wants to save any face here, that's the guy. It's a no-brainer. That is 100% the guy. I really don't understand what's going on. Also, if the buyout and non-compete are the things that NDEP actually did, those deterring Chris Beard. Why did that come up at the end of a negotiation, not the beginning? I don't know. I'll leave it to it. Those are my thoughts. Go Hogs. We'll get through this.
Appreciate it, Travis, and thanks for calling in. Yeah, I as a Razorback fan, we talked a little bit about, but there's never been a coaching search that just went well for Arkansas. And there could be various reasons to why that's the case. There could be because of, somebody outbid you, or maybe there was misreporting there. But I'm going to be very clear about this, folks. People can feel the way that they want to feel, but the Chris Beard reporting, I know from here at Natty State Sports and nationally with Jeff Goodman or John Rothstein, whoever, that wasn't a joke. That wasn't misreporting. That wasn't like, oh, okay, well, they just, it was all a ploy. No, that was legit. That's what it was. That's who they were going after. That's their number one target. That's a fact. No other answer. That is a fact. So now, no matter what happens, Arkansas is going to have to go with a second or third or fourth choice per usual. And that's the unfortunate thing. Other schools seem to have benefited here in the SEC by getting disgraced coaches. If you think about it, when Bruce Pearl went to Auburn, I think they benefited from it. Doormat program has him. Chris Beard at Ole Miss, doormat program, they have him. Nate Oates and all the situations that he had where he was, basically thinking that his players involved in a homicide isn't a big deal. He's in the Final Four right now. And here's my extra level of a fear. If Arkansas does not hire Will Wade now, he's going to go to some other SEC school soon, and then he'll dominate there. Say it's bad, but it's kind of the truth. It's kind of the vibe that it gives. Let's go back to the phone lines. Chris is on the line. What's up, Chris?
Hey, John. How you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm just ducky.
I'm like you. I was feeling, that Beard would be the man, and I was hoping we'd get him. But I kind of at the same time thought, maybe it being Ole Miss, how they done this with Lane, they do it the same way with him, and it turned out they did. But I think Hunter don't know what to do next. I mean, if I was him, I'd go after Wade. I don't know about Tang. I really don't. But, that's just me, though.
So what's your confidence level like right now, Chris?
Well, I mean, I really want a Beard, but I really don't know, man. To be honest with you, I really do not know.
I know.
I mean, I think the shot that we've got at having a winning team, a decent team this year is to get Wade.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like you. I think Wade is the second best option.
No, I do too. And I think we talked about it yesterday on our live stream. We felt like if it's not Beard, which we felt confident in, then Will Wade is the next best option. And I think that it wouldn't be the same feeling of Chris Beard being hired, but it would definitely be one that I think excites the fans overall. And at least they could make sense out of it. Because, again, Will Wade, success everywhere he's been, recruited really highly well. All the players love him. Again, he's one of those guys, kind of like what Muss is. You hate him when he's the other coach, but when he's your coach, you love him. And Arkansas fans, I was one of those that made fun of him a lot when he was at LSU because of his face and how he whined and the way he posed. Like, it was just weird, but winning cures all, and I think Razorback fans could get behind Will Wade if they ended up making that hire.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I say, I think that's the only other option they really have. I mean, if they want to win right away, I feel like Tang is another Anderson. I just, that 2 years experience scares me. And I don't think, I really don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, none of us want to ever go through that again. Appreciate the phone call, Chris. Call back anytime, man, because I think, again, you speak a lot for what Razorback fans are feeling right now. There's no question. Let's see. Let's go to Katie. He's on the line. What's up, Katie?
Hey, y'all. This is actually Casey.
Casey. Okay, sorry. The screener said Katie. I apologize. Casey.
Hey, no worries. Loving the show. I'm going to read what I see as Will Wade's show cause restrictions right now, if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
It looks like unless Arkansas can make a really strong case as to why he shouldn't be held to these, it's no off-campus recruiting-related activities during any April or summer-related activities or contact period. We'd lose 4 official visits during the 24-25 academic calendar. No recruiting conversations can take place until October 15th, 24, and Wade will be suspended for the first 10 games of the 24-25 season, but will be allowed to coach in all exhibition or practice scrimmages. So that seems like a stout list. If we can't make a case, I guess it would be to the NCAA as to why he shouldn't be held to those. I like the guy. I'm personally really interested in Shaka Smart, but do either of you guys know what that looks like with the show cause, Arkansas demonstrating why he shouldn't be held to those? And I'm going to hop off. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for calling in, Casey. I know that there's been stuff that's happened with him in the NCAA, and I guess he was fired back. It's amazing. He was only fired back in 2022. It seems like it was so long ago. But, yeah, he has the restrictions, the show cause penalty up until June 21st of 2025. And if that was the case, it would have to be added to Arkansas's, where they held the restrictions to no off-campus recruiting-related activities. Now, listen, I don't know how that would go or what that would look like as far as, how much would that hurt Arkansas. I assume it would hurt them. But this day and age, with the transfer portal and everything, I think almost all these players are done through just like Zooms and phone calls. I mean, we've seen players come to Arkansas at the transfer portal. They didn't even take a visit. Like, they're just like, yeah, I'll go. So, would that be a problem? Would that be an issue? Maybe. But here's my question for everybody out there. Do you think it's worth it? Like, if you feel like it's Will Wade, like if you took away the show cost, take away the show cost, would you be excited about the hire? If the answer is yes, then add the show cost back into the point. Is 1 year of a show cause, is that going to be worth passing on Will Wade? My answer is no. If it's just 1 full year of having these restrictions where no off-campus recruiting during any April or summer-related activities, and losing 4 official visits during the academic calendar, I mean, is that something that's going to be worth passing on Will Wade? I'll leave that up to you. I don't think it would be. And who knows? Maybe it's something they fight. Maybe it's something with the NCAA that they can work through. Maybe it's because the NCAA is kind of a joke right now anyways. It's always been a joke, but feels like even more of a joke too. Let's keep it going with, try to see who this is. I don't know. I'm just going to go with it from the 870. All right, 870. What's going on, man?
Is this me?
Yep, this is you.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, it's Porter calling in from Wiener. I just want to talk about Hunter Yurachek, man, really, not the coaches. I want to talk about why he can't pony up and why he keeps seeming to be, as the deal's closing in, just getting drugged through the mud every single time. That's just kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look, man. It feels like each and every time, I wonder, I don't follow coaching searches for every other school, but it does make me wonder if the other searches for schools, specifically in the SEC, are always like this. I just don't feel that. I feel like when Ole Miss wanted Chris Beard, they got Chris Beard. Granted, it was a different situation because he was fired, but it didn't feel like it was that messy. Same thing with you had, I mean, just look around the SEC of the recent coaching hires. I didn't think that there was any craziness that went on with a guy that like Todd Golden. Did Florida have a lot of drama? Maybe they did, but I just never felt that was the case. I never felt like anybody else. I was sitting back laughing like, ha ha, bunch of losers. I guess Louisville didn't go too well this year, but the point is, this is a job at Arkansas that is really good. And Muss, I know this past season was not good, but the overall program is extremely high. Like, you still 3 seasons prior won 8 games in the NCAA tournament. So, it's not like, it's looking at the past. This program's still in good shape. It's still healthy. It's got a great setup. If you don't believe me, just ask Eric Musselman in his press conference today because he went on and on about Arkansas. That's the thing that is really frustrating. Is like, I just don't understand how this continues to happen time and time and time again. When if it's football, that's one thing, because there are a lot of other jobs out there, a lot of other jobs that are better than Arkansas football. I'll admit that. But Arkansas basketball, that's one that you should not have anyone tell you no. That's someone like Chris Beard. Chris Beard, someone like him in that position at Ole Miss, should never say no to Arkansas. And the fact that he did pisses me off. And I don't know why. It may have been Yurachek's fault. It may have been something that Ole Miss did. Whatever it is, still pisses me off because that's an embarrassing thing to have happen.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I think it might be time for Yurachek to look in the mirror and say if he's the problem, but we got to figure it out because, like you, I'm tired of people telling us no, but that's about all I got for you, and I appreciate your time, really.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for calling in, man. I'm with you, man. I'm with you on all of it. And for Razorback fans, I feel you, and I feel bad for you all. But that's just the fact of the matter and where it stands right now. We'll continue to take phone calls. Keep those coming, folks. I know a lot of them, a lot of people are upset, but you don't need to be upset because, at least for this point, Razorback baseball continues on. They beat Ole Miss yesterday. So have another chance tonight. We'll talk about that in your Arkansas update in a little bit. But Alumni Hall has all that you need and has you covered for all apparel when it comes to all things Razorback, because not only do you have all the different apparel from men's and women's and kids and everything, but you also have hats. You got baseball jerseys. You got the baseball vibes, the polo shirts, golf polos. The weather's getting a lot warmer. They have it all at Alumni Hall. And if you go to nattystatesports.com/Alumni Hall, you'll be able to check it all out for yourself. They have the entire catalog there. If you can't make it to the location there in Fayetteville, you can just have it delivered straight to your door via shipping with Alumni Hall. So check it out again today at nattystatesports.com/Alumni Hall. Get the best and finest Razorback apparel across the entire land. You won't be disappointed with Alumni Hall here in Fayetteville. Let's keep it going as we got Andrew calling in from, I don't know where he's calling in from, but it's Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, John, I'm a longtime listener, first time calling.
Heck yeah.
I'm up here in Cincinnati, Ohio. But I'll be the first to say that I was all on board for Chris Beard. But now that we know that's not an option, I got to say I am a little relieved because the stuff that happened at Texas, it definitely happened, and I'm glad to not have a coach that treats a woman like that.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I get
now that we're looking.
I get the baggage totally, man, and we talked about that and the issues that came up, but it's one of those deals to where even from people I've heard, he's not very nice to deal with. He's not very nice to people, and but again, it's about, do you want somebody like that or do you want to win? You know, some people are willing to bet on that and say, hey, well, I don't care if he's a jerk, he wins. Kind of like the Petrino angle. He's a jerk, but he wins. So, but yeah, there's no doubt that you can't just overlook that thing that happened at Texas because it was a very public thing, and it's the reason why he's no longer at Texas.
Absolutely. Yeah, but my guy now, I feel like it's Will Wade or bust. I feel like Tang is just going to put us right back into the days of Anderson. So with that, I'll hang up. Listen to what you got to say about it.
All right, appreciate it, Andrew. Thanks for calling in, man. I don't know what the Jerome Tang thing would lead to. Like, that's what's so nerve-wracking. It has an upside to it because he's well-respected, and everyone believes how he's been able to, with the transfer portal and with recruiting and how he handles things and being in the Big 12 and he's the National Coach of the Year just 2 years ago in his first year. So I think that there's reasons to believe he could be really great at Arkansas and extraordinary at Arkansas. But there's not a whole lot of evidence there because this could be something. Say if they don't hire Jerome Tang. Say if Arkansas does not hire Jerome Tang. It could very well be a case where 2 or 3 years from now, he's fired from Kansas State. That could happen. Or he could be hired somewhere else, and he ends up being great there instead of being at Arkansas. I feel like that's Murphy's Law. Arkansas is always going to pick the wrong person. That's the vibe I feel like it always is. They always pick the wrong person. And then the person that they wanted or the person they didn't offer goes on to accomplish great things. But I get the Tang feedback. I get why everyone's not all in on it. It's just, I think would I sit here to tell everybody, oh my gosh, this is big time, like no drop off with Jerome Tang. No, but I'm willing to give it a chance. If they hire him, I want to see how it goes. I want to see how it works. And nothing against the fine city of Manhattan, Kansas and Kansas State, but some coaches thrive a lot more when they have the amenities that Arkansas does and the things that they have to get after it in the side of coaches and being in the program and being able to take it to another level. So that absolutely could be the case. Let's go back to the phone lines once again. Is Taylor's calling in? Looks like from Alabama. Sure, this will be good. What's up, Taylor?
Hey, what's going on, man? Good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.
Can you hear me okay?
I got you.
Okay. So, real quick, I was not on board with the Chris Beard thing. Not to pound my chest here, but Arkansas never gets their first guy. Just historically speaking, at least in recent history, it never works out, especially with that, I'll just call him a turd, that AD down at Ole Miss. He's got Yurachek's number, I feel like. Anyway, I don't care about Chris Beard's past. I'm on board the Bobby train. So my Bobby didn't beat up anybody, but that's another topic altogether. My basketball IQ is not very high. I grew up watching the Hogs in the 80s and 90s, and I love Hog basketball, even though, again, my basketball IQ is super low. But I am kind of curious. I'll give you my 3 or 4 top picks for possible coaches. Number 1 is Will Wade, and it was actually Will Wade before the news of Chris Beard broke. But also after that, a whole bunch of names pop up, at least in my mind. And one is Shaka Smart. And I'd like to hear your opinion. Also Bucky McMillan, and I'm highly biased because I grew up with Bucky. So if Bucky landed the job, I'd be elated. But he's doing amazing things at Stanford, and I'm proud of him. But someone like Shaka Smart, why or why not? I mean, would that be, do you see that as being, I'm not on board, completely on board with the idea. I remember his history, where is he at Marquette right now, and then he was at VCU, beating a bunch of people he shouldn't for a number of years. What is your take on someone like a Shaka Smart that might be a little bit past, maybe their prime? I don't know. What's your opinion on Shaka Smart?
Well, I mean, Shaka's a great coach. And what he did at VCU was incredible, went to a Final Four. And what he's done at Marquette has been awesome. I mean, he's in a conference that's extremely difficult, and it's one that he has had success and continues to have success. But that's kind of the only thing about it, though, is that stint at Texas I can't just overlook. And I don't know, maybe it was something that Texas did that made it where he wasn't able to be as successful. Maybe it's something about the Texas job. Yeah. I don't know. But I think that I just don't know if Shaka Smart would be interested in the job. If he was, if that's something Yurachek pulled off and they hired Shaka Smart, I'd be pumped. I'd be like, hey, that's a fantastic hire. But I just don't know. As Curtis has pointed out many times about Shaka, he's in a great situation at Marquette. It's a low stress job. He's gotten in a great conference. He's doing great in recruiting. It's not as on the magnitude of what it would be in an SEC. And also at Marquette, you're the number one game on that school. You're the number one sport. You're going to get the support. You're going to get the money and everything. So again, I would love the hire. I just don't know if it's a realistic hire for Arkansas at this time. But I would love to be wrong if that's the case.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah.
This is weird. This is going to be really unpopular.
Can't wait.
But, okay, so with NIL and transfer portal, I'll bundle it all together. It's the culture now. I've got my opinions on it. It is what it is. I'm fine with paying the players, but ... Again, another topic. That being said, with a program, take Arkansas as an example, is it completely out of the question to find a coach that's willing to take a stab at a bunch of high-profile 3- and 4-star recruits as opposed to loading up with 5-star recruits and actually developing players, guaranteeing them play time? Because as we all know with March Madness, it's not always the blue bloods that make it through. It's these schools like the Fairleigh Dickinsons, like the VCUs, that someone's always getting through and making some noise. And I guarantee you those players aren't making $750,000 a year. But you build in the possibility of loyalty, which we just do not see on the landscape of the playing field anymore with college athletics. And I'm curious to hear your opinion of that, going after, again, higher 3-star, 4-star recruits as opposed to just loading up with 5 stars and actually developing players over a 2- and 3-year time frame, 4-year time frame, or is that all completely gone?
All right. Well, hey, appreciate the phone call, Taylor, and call back anytime. I'll answer your question. As far as that goes, I like it in theory. It's just in this day and age in the college basketball landscape, the development, it does happen, but because of players jumping into the transfer portal, if they don't play, they're not as patient to stick around. Where if, hey, I could sit here for a year or 2 or 3 and develop, or I can be the star at this other place, or I get more NIL at this other place. It's just completely and totally changed. I think that there are different ways to skin a cat. I think you can win with different types of players. And again, Eric Musselman, look at that as proof. I mean, each team that Arkansas had that made it to the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16 was vastly different from the other. In his first year, he had a mixture of some highly talented freshmen with some experienced transfers at crucial positions, and it worked out. You had Moses Moody, who was the star of the show, one and done, but also with Devo and Jalen Williams as really quality freshmen, and then mixed in with Justin Smith, Jalen Tate, J.D. Note, guys like that. It worked. Then the next year, there was no freshmen. There was no sophomores. I mean, everybody, I guess the sophomores were Devo and Jalen, but, I'm talking about experienced guys, but everybody were seniors, multi-year players, and it worked. And the next year, you had mostly freshmen, and it still worked. So I'm bringing all that up to say that you can win in different ways. You can develop in different ways. You can approach in different ways. I just want to have somebody who identifies how to win and identifies the type of team that it takes to win, and then to be able to make it work. I don't want to call it a system, but and I'm not trying to be overly critical of Muss, but the fact of the constant change of differences, it just wore thin. It's like, I know you can win different ways, but I'd rather have some sort of semblance of like, okay, well, is this a defensive-minded coach? I got Chris Jans, for instance. There's no question. Chris Jans, you know what type of coach he is. He is a big-time guy who is always about defense. Like, he's a defensive-minded coach. It's where he's been everywhere. It's like, if he's your coach, your defense is going to be really good. Will your offense be as aesthetically pleasing? Probably not. But you at least have a really, really good look at what it looks like when it comes to the defensive side. So I would like to have somebody that's just a little bit more consistent, builds the team around what he looks like. But again, you can sit here and win in different ways. Like I saw somebody tweet at me today. Why don't Arkansas just do what Hurley's doing at UConn? Just do that. It's like, oh, okay. In that case, that should be easy. Just do it. How come more people didn't figure this out? Like it's a little bit more difficult than that. Just be honest, it's just a little bit more difficult than that. Before we do your Arkansas update, let's get to, I believe this is Blaine. We'll try it with Blaine. What's up, Blaine?
Oh, not much. Just kind of watching this train wreck go down.
Isn't it fun? Aren't you having a good time? Isn't it a blast?
Well, me and my buddies, we have a saying, Arkansas is going to Arkansas. It doesn't seem to matter what it's in, either football games or getting coaches or losing close games, Arkansas is going to Arkansas. And it sucks.
Hey, at least they're consistent for what it's worth.
Yeah, that's consistent at something.
Yeah.
But, hey, a coach that I would like, and I don't think it'll ever happen, but I'd like to see Buzz Williams with a hog on.
Well, okay, so I'm not like totally saying it's an awful thing, but just tell me why him? Like what is it about him that you think would be why would you want him here?
Well, I mean, even whenever Eric Musselman was at his best, Texas A&M gave them a run for the money all the time. I mean, this was the first year that we were able to sweep him, and I don't understand why we were able to sweep him this year, but I've just always liked the kind of person he is and the ball that he plays. I mean, they made a pretty good run at the end.
I don't know, man. It's just like because if I look at how long, because Curtis, how long has Buzz Williams been at Texas A&M? Is he the same time as Muss? Pretty much 5 years, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 years.
Yeah.
So 5 years. He's been in the NCAA tournament twice and won one game. So, I'm not saying that he's complete and total irrelevant, but he does have the three-piece suit game going on, so he does dress nice on occasion.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, I'm not saying it'd be the worst option in the world. I just that would be one I don't really want. I mean, do you really want an Aggie? I mean, do you want an Aggie over here? Because I don't know, but
no.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, I don't want an LS Boo person either. Will Wade was at LSU, and I can't stand LSU. But, the more I listen to people talk, I could settle for Will Wade. I was really getting my hopes up with Chris Beard. But, being an Arkansas fan, there was always something in the back of my mind that just kept on saying, don't count on it. It's not going to happen. You're going to get screwed over at the last minute.
Yep.
And it happened.
Mm-hmm.
It happened.
Mm-hmm.
But, what other name could get you excited right now? After losing to Eric Musselman, where can you go? And he was one of the best coaches that Arkansas had since Nolan Richardson, and probably the second best. So, it's hard to get excited about somebody else that brings that kind of energy to Arkansas basketball again.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I look back to, which I know it's a different day and age, but I look back when Nolan Richardson was hired. I wasn't alive, but just knowing the history of it. And you had Eddie Sutton, who was a very well-established big-time coach, went to Kentucky, and that I can only imagine how pissed off that made fans, him going to Kentucky, and accomplishing that, and how it felt like you were slighted. And then Frank Broyles hired Nolan Richardson. We know about the history about how, there's a lot of uniqueness, first black coach in the South, and there's a lot of people that were upset, and especially since he had his biggest accomplishment was the NIT championship at Tulsa. But he came in and he struggled in the first few seasons, and then boom, it turned on, and the rest is history. I bring that up only because, the days of that happening where you take a risk and a coach that is an up-and-comer from some smaller school and from some small place or whatever, it could work out, but I just feel like Arkansas is in a position to where they should be able to hire a well-established coach that's ready and is somebody that can get the fan base excited. And if they don't do that, then geez, that's I don't know. It could work out. It could not work out.
Yeah.
We never know with coaches, but it's just hard to really feel good and feel confident about it if it doesn't.
Right, I agree, and I think that this is going to be, if Yurachek doesn't get this one, he might be in a little bit of trouble. And like I've
I
always
don't
liked
disagree.
Yurachek. I've liked the things that he's done, but this is one of those things I think is like a make or break moment.
Yeah. No, that I do agree with. I agree that Yurachek has to nail this one, because if he gets this one wrong and if it becomes disastrous, I'm never going to call for someone's job, but man, it'll be hard for him to feel comfortable, because he's lost a lot of fans over the course of just a few days, a few weeks over this whole thing. And if they end up with somebody that's not near to the level of what fans believe should be, it's going to be hard for him to have any good grace in the fans' eyes. And when that happens, it's hard to get him back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at what's going on with Sam Pittman. If Bobby Petrino isn't able to help turn this thing around, he'll never get the fans back. And that's just how it is. So, you know, it's fun being a Razorback fan, though. Always ready for heartbreak.
That's right. Hey, we're used to it by now, buddy. Appreciate the phone call, as always. Yeah, like I said, Razorback fans should be used to it by this point. It just seems like it's so common. Again, I know we got a lot of calls. Keep the calls coming, folks. I'll try to get to some of the chat, as we got a lot of people watching in, so appreciate all of you for making us a part of it. But it is time for your Arkansas Update, brought to you by Davis & Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owner's insurance agency, securing what matters most. Yeah, Eric Musselman got hired at USC. The press conference was today, and Chris Beard said no to you. So you're going to have to move on. And that's negative news. Positive news is you did beat Ole Miss last night in baseball, 5-2. Was a little bit dicey there in the beginning. Hagen Smith, not the best outing that he's ever had, which is so funny because it still was not a bad outing. He pitched for 6 innings, gave up 2 runs, and had 105 pitches. Ton of those, but still 11 strikeouts, double-digit strikeouts. So a little dicey there, but Arkansas was down 2-0, stormed back, and a lot of it has to be thanks to Wahiva Aloy as he hits a 3-run bomb, and then you have Jared Spraglott, that ends up hitting a solo shot, 5-2. So Arkansas will be playing for the series tonight if they can take care of business in Baum-Walker Stadium. We'll see how it happens, but the game's at 6:30. I'm going to make my way out there here after a while. And Razorback fans, I'm sure you're going to be in a great mood, right? Sure you are. It's going to be great. But yeah, and according to reports, as we've been talking about, Jerome Tang seems to be the number one option for Arkansas at this point. That's according to John Rothstein. And it doesn't mean that'll happen. Doesn't mean he's the guy. Doesn't mean it's all going to be, he's the hired, but definitely to look out for it. But here's what you do. Instead of worrying about that, just follow Pod at the Palace. Subscribe to that. Follow Curtis and Scotty on social media. They'll keep you updated with it. They'll tell you like it is, and they'll be on top of it. So that's your Arkansas Update, brought to you by Davis & Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owner's insurance agency, securing what matters the most. All right, let's talk to, I believe this is Jackson. Hopefully is the case. What's up, Jackson?
Hey, John, how's it going, brother?
It's going great. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm good. A little pissed off about Eric Musselman.
Yeah, this doesn't seem right. It ain't right, if you ask me. It ain't right.
Yeah, he had to go back home, though. He always wanted to coach in SoCal, so I guess you can respect him for that. Who do you think's up next after Chris Beard?
I mean, if it's me, it's Will Wade. Like, that's the one I want, but there's a lot of people feel like it's Jerome Tang and from Kansas State.
I was going to say I like Tang.
What's that?
I like Tang, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Tang. It's not that I don't want Tang. It's just Tang, I don't know if he should be your second option. Like, I feel like if he got turned down by Will Wade and turned down by some others, then Tang would make sense. But I just don't know if that needs to be your second guy right here, right now to get going. Like, I just don't know if that's the case.
Yeah. What really sucks is everyone's transferring out now.
Yeah, well, that was bound to happen anytime a coaching search happens. I mean, that's not surprising. I will say, though, real quick here. Yeah, the Eric Musselman press conference today, I may need Curtis to help me confirm this, but I'm pretty sure that the president, the lady that got up there second, quoted Taylor Swift awkwardly and said, "Can't stop, won't stop," right? I'm like, isn't that Miley Cyrus? That's not Taylor Swift. That's Miley Cyrus. And I was like, Muss is going there to that? It looked so uncomfortable and awkward, but that was just another little salt in the wound. It's like the president over here is just like, right, can't stop, won't stop. Taylor Swift, right? Our girl over there. Yeah. I was like, shoot me. Just kill me. Right. What's that?
We got baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah. Must also, his coloring on his hair looked a little more full. So I guess that Valley vibe out there he's already going for, but still, just really weird and terrible.
Yeah. All right, well, good talking to you, John.
Yeah, you too, Jackson. Thanks for calling in, man. Yeah, I not that matters in making Razorback fans feel any better about anything, because it shouldn't and it doesn't. But yeah, that was something I'm like, did she just talk about Taylor Swift can't stop, won't stop? Like, hello, fellow kids. Just. I mean, I don't think Arkansas did anything that cringy when Eric Musselman was announced in Arkansas. I think it was just, here's the thing, I think just Yurachek got up there, or maybe it was Chuck Barrett that did the announcing, and then Yurachek got up there and announced it, and then they just sat down and asked some questions. I think that was pretty much what it was. So I'll try to get to some of these comments, folks. I won't say I've been fully neglecting the chat, but I do apologize. Because the chat, we got so many viewers and watchers across all of the Natty State sports content because of this, and we appreciate it. And just be sure to subscribe to it, and be sure to follow us on our social media and everything, because we really appreciate it. And we're on top of it, man. Like, our guys over here working like round the clock each and every time. They are after it. Curtis and Scotty, especially on top of the coaching search with their insight and everything. So just be sure to continue to follow it and continue to check it out and continue to make it happen with us here at Natty State Sports. Let's see. A lot of comments in here too. Everyone's so very upset. A lot of names getting thrown around as well. I mean, this is intense stuff. I will say though that I'm not going full on Super Saiyan mode on Hunter Yurachek and just wanting to fire him and tell him to get out of town, because I want to see who he hires first. That's the thing about it all. I'm a little worried. I'm not going to sit here and deny. I'm worried, but that can be easily fixed if Hunter Yurachek gets a great hire, or at least a hire I'd like. But if he doesn't, he might be on the line here too. And there was, going back to that stupid video and that stupid tweet, if he doesn't do that, it's still not great, but it makes it a little bit better. But when you do that, when you flex on him on this random podcast in Southern California and you're doing that, I was like, all right, you better have something to show for it then. You better have something to say for it. I felt the same way about any player that goes out there and is talking mad nonsense. Anybody that's out there, being, flexing on other people, being very unsportsmanlike, and it's like, okay, I'm fine with it. I can get down with that, but you better show something for it. If you're talking a bunch of noise, you better show something for it. So this is what is extremely crucial for Yurachek. You can't do that and then whiff. Cannot happen. You do that and you whiff, coaches are out. Fans are out on you, because it makes you look bad. It makes the fan base look bad. And let's be honest, there have been plenty of reasons and plenty of things happening already to make fans feel like they've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, like whatever the Stephen A. Smith meme is. Like, that is a frustrating and disappointing thing. So I just really hope that's never the case. Jeez. This is wild, man. I love coaching searches in the regards of the interactions and the fun that does come from it, but I also hate them at the same time, because no one truly knows what goes in and out of it. I said this before, and this is not a knock against any of us in the local media, because I'm in the local media. We got guys here in the local media, and these guys, I've been on top of it, and as much as anybody, but I saw people saying, oh, you knew it was going to be Chris Beard. It's like, yeah. But that's the thing. People that we know, that would know, say those things, then something happens. But almost always, national-wise, for Arkansas specifically, whenever they've had a coaching search, national guys are usually the ones, if not always, have broken the news that, hey, so-and-so is being hired. Like when Aaron Musselman was hired, it wasn't anybody locally. It was national. It's going to be the same thing here. Like, we're not about breaking the news, but we're about providing the insight that we have and the direction that they're going. And that's something that people kind of lose sight of. It's like we can sit here and talk about, we're like, well, you said this. Yeah. Because that's what we were told by people in the know. That's what we were told by our people in the U of A and people who are involved in these such things. It's like the thing with Chris Beard, that wasn't us misreporting it. That wasn't us not talking about it and just pulling it out of our rear ends. That wasn't us getting played by the inside. I know. What that was Arkansas, Yurachek, whoever, not getting the deal done. That's what it was. That's all it was. So, and it's supposed to be fun, right? Fun? Everybody having fun? Good. Everybody's got the opinion. Like, all the comments here have been great, though. It's been fun for, like, interacting with all of y'all, at least. But somebody asked me a question earlier. I was going to try to go back and get to it. Wish there was a way to... I needed to start highlighting comments and go back to them. So that way, since we're getting so many of them, try to do it. Oh, yeah, somebody was saying, I think it was Jeremy. He's the one who was talking about the fans were the one that ran off Muss. And that could not be further from the truth. Get out of here with that. Get out of here, man. Like, I don't buy that for a second. Because fans everywhere are crazy, folks. Fans everywhere are wild and insane and do things, say things all the time. So it's not unique to Arkansas. Muss did not want to be here because of other reasons. The fans, now you could say the fans may have had an impact on it, but I'm talking about like, what, a 2 or 3% responsibility in the whole thing. It was bigger than the fans, and that was the problem. So just keep that in perspective. Because even the things that like Curtis and Scotty talked about on the pod at the Palace, it's like the stuff that they were hearing about the issues that were going on in Arkansas inside of it were the same things that were going on over at Nevada. So it's almost like whenever Muss is done, he's done. He is done. And he approaches it the same way. He approaches it the same way. But good grief, man. It is a wild time. It's a wild time. I'm going to be, I said it yesterday, I'm going to miss Muss for various reasons. I don't even think that I'm ever going to see or cover a coach that's like Muss, but, you know, I'm hopeful that whoever it is not only brings winning, but has a personality that's fun and one that fits in with Arkansas and one that can do a great job out of the portal. Because I think about some of these coaches, too, in the SEC where, you think about like Nate Oates in Buffalo, where he came from and going to Alabama. That was a whatever hire. It's fine, but it's worked out. Bruce Pearl's done a good job, I believe, over at Auburn. Still can't win many games in the NCAA tournament here recently, but still getting it going. There's some coaches that have worked out and some coaches that continue to work out, and some that were high risk, some that were easy. Like Bruce Pearl at Auburn was an easy hire. I mean, Pearl was awesome at Tennessee. And that's where I kind of go with Will Wade. Like, Pearl was awesome at Tennessee, and what got him busted was lying about the barbecue or whatever that he had with juniors, something like that. But he got him fired. Okay, that's fine now. Will Wade, kind of the same thing. Dude was great at LSU. And he's won, and he's done a great job at McNeese State. I'm willing to take a risk on him, especially since something was trivial as what he was doing, which is legal now. So I'm all for Will Wade. If everyone's asking me who because Beard was my number one, so where am I at now? How am I feeling right now? Well, how about this? Give me Will Wade. Something I never really thought I'd say a couple of years ago. Give me Will Wade. The guy that always had the most punchable face that I felt. Guy that worked like he was a manager trainee at Enterprise Rent-A-Car with the way he fitted his suits. The guy that had his hands on his hips way too high into his like armpits when he put them up. That guy. Give me that guy. I want that guy. I think he wins. I'm willing to take that risk. I'm willing to see how it all plays out for him at a place like Arkansas. Because LSU, for all intents and purposes, basketball-wise, there's no reason why they shouldn't be better. Like, they're really, football, they're great. Baseball, they're great. Women's basketball, they've become that with Kim Mulkey. Gymnastics, they're great. Like, they have a lot of great sports programs, and NIL is a big part of it. But men's basketball, even so, I know that McMahon's gone in there and he's done okay, and maybe he gets it going, but it should always be better. But he was able to take LSU as I believe, a 3 seed one year. Played in SEC title games. Not a lot of things going. Like, I'm on the train for Will Wade. I want to see how it plays out with him. Could do a lot worse. Plus, the players love him. All the players love him. But I think that's where I'm at right now. Give me Will Wade. And if no Will Wade, give me Jerome Tang. And if he says no, then give me a noose. Sorry, that got dark. But that's how I'm going to feel. That's how I'm going to feel about it. But yeah, people are, again, throwing out all the comments and all the coaches that they want in effect. Like, those are the ones that are just out there. Oh, yeah, somebody was asking me, too. I got to pull this up about a certain coach. Jamie Dixon. Oh, yeah, Jamie Dixon over at TCU. Just know that Jamie Dixon is coaching at his alma mater in TCU, and he signed an extension through the 2029-30 season yesterday. So Jamie Dixon is not doing it. But I just don't know if you want to, like, are you really willing to spend $6 million in a buyout for Jerome Tang? Like, that's the other element to it. Like, Will Wade's cheap, comparatively speaking. Jerome Tang, he's making over $3.5 million per year up at Kansas State. And then you have a $6 million buyout on top of that. Is he worth that money? I don't think so. But then again, it's not my money. I feel like that money could go to better things, though, right? I would think so. Yeah, maybe Tang gets a new raise. Give everybody raises. Why not? Give everybody a raise. So stupid. I need to be a sports agent. That would be nice. From my understanding, it looks like it's Jerome Tang's job if he wants it. But the question is, does... Okay, well, actually, how about this? According to John Rothstein, this just is coming across the timeline, folks. Kansas State has offered Jerome Tang a contract extension following today's interest from Arkansas, and he's currently at the top of the Arkansas Razorbacks list to replace Eric Musselman. Just saw this. And this came out 3 minutes ago. So they offered him an extension, but he's not accepted it. So, for what that's worth. Dude. Arkansas is the king of this. They are the king of getting people paid. How frustrating is that? I don't even know what to tweet to that. Like, I mean, it's just almost like a joke. It's almost a joke. All right, who else can get a raise? Will Wade. What if Will Wade gets a raise over at McNeese State? Again, just end it all. Blow it up. It's over with. If it ain't Tang, it's got to be Will Wade. And if it's not Will Wade, you're done. Like, Yurachek, you got to go. Maybe, unless there's some sort of coach that's out there that we haven't talked about or that hasn't been discussed that would want to jump in, like some big name coach, maybe that would be okay. Maybe that would be the case. But man, this is getting weird. This is getting nasty. This is getting sickly. Oh man, folks, I'm about tapped out here today. You guys are awesome, though. Seriously, appreciate you all watching in, listening in to the John Nabors Show. Be sure to like everything about Natty State Sports. We got so much content coming out, and Curtis and Scotty are going to be putting out a lot of content on our website at nattystatesports.com. Also, check it out over all the social media platforms. We've got some great things coming up next week, too. Some really great ideas. You're going to have spring football. That's still a thing. That's still going on. And we're going to keep it rolling, keep it going. So, again, appreciate everybody listening and watching in. Big things happen here in Natty State Sports, and it's only going to get bigger because of people like you. So enjoy the weekend, folks. Try to relax. But remember this, too. Here at Natty State, whenever big news happens, we're going live right here, right now, immediately. Like, we will be on top of it, and we'll make sure that we will get you guys all squared away on everything for the coaching search for Razorback basketball. So until then, same sports show, same sports channel next Monday. Have a great weekend, folks. At least try to. We'll see you then.